grade 3s, we are going to talk about division as repeated subtraction. So just like in multiplication when we did repeated addition, where you can add 3 plus 3 plus 3 to know 3 plus 3 is 6, plus another 3 is 9. So therefore we know 3 times 3 is 9. And we know that because we have equal groups adding. Now we're going to do the same thing with division, but we're actually going to be repeating subtracting. So our number is going to be getting smaller and smaller, but it's going to be by equal amounts. All right, so let's try it first off with a problem solving question. The first question we're going to look at says a baseball club has 12 baseballs. If each team gets 4 balls, how many teams will be able to play? Now I have my counters out, and you could do that with your counters like we've been doing. Gather them into groups of 4 and see how many groups you can have. Or we have a number line here, and we're going to practice working with and using a number line to help us figure out the repeated subtraction and how we can keep subtracting those numbers. All right, so we're going to start with the information that we have. So we have 12 baseballs, and each team's going to get 4 balls. So we're going to start with 12, and I'm going to, on my number line, find the 12, and I'm just going to put an X right on the 12. So just like when we did repeated addition, we worked our way up. Now, I'm going to pretend like I'm going to take 4 balls, and I'm going to give it to one team. So I'm going to take 12 and subtract 4. So here's my 12. When I take away 4, I get 8. 12, take away 4 is 8. All right, so that's one team and their balls. Now, I'm going to take another group of 4 balls and give it to a team. So I'm going to subtract from 8, another 4. So now 2 teams are playing. I have 4 balls left. So I'm going to take these 4 balls and I'm going to subtract them from the total. And now I have no balls left. Now I can see easily in my grouping that I can have 3 teams with 4 balls. I can also see that in how many leapfrogs that I have. We can call these leaps or jumps. I have 1, 2, 3 jumps or leaps until I get to 0. So that tells me that with 12 balls, I can have 3 teams playing. Now, what does that look like for a repeated subtraction question? Let's see. If I want to write out my repeated subtraction sentence, I'm going to start with 12, and I'm going to subtract 4. What is 12 minus 4? 8. Then I'm going to subtract another 4, and I get 8 minus 4 is 4. Then I'm going to subtract another 4. What do I get? What's 4 take away 4? Is 0. So now we've hit 0. So we're done. We can't go anymore. But now I can look and I can count. I have 1, 2, 3 times that I subtracted 4. My division sentence will look like 12 divided by 4 balls per team equals 3 teams being able to play. Now here's very important. I've noticed in some of the problem solving questions that are coming in, lots of you are forgetting to actually answer the question. So if it's a problem solving question, you need to go back to the question and find out what is the question asking. So I go back to, oh look, there's my question mark. That means it's a question. So I'm going to go back to, if each team gets 4 balls, how many teams can play? That's the question I need you to answer. Not just the multiplication sentence or the division sentence. I need you to actually answer the question with words as well. Okay, that just tells me that you're paying attention and you know what the question is and that it's actually a problem-solving question. So I can answer that lots of different ways. You can be as detailed as you want, or the bare minimum, the most simple that I want for your answer is you can tell me 3 teams can play. All right, so you can write 3 teams can play. Or 3 teams can have 4 balls. Or with 4 balls, there can be 3 teams. Okay, so you answer that in a sentence where I know that you actually know what the question is. Not just the division sentence, not just the repeated subtraction or the jumps on the number line. This is what I want to see. I want to see your final answer in a sentence. Okay, let's try another one. Oh. Paintballs. Now, again, these splotches are my counters, so you could totally use that if you want and lay out 18 counters, because the question says there are 18 boys who want to play paintball. If each team has 3 players, how many teams will there be? Now, we of course can gather up groups of 3 and find out how many, and that is definitely something you can do. Or we can subtract by 3 each time. So we're looking at number 18, okay, because there's 18 boys. So I'm going to put a little X on 18. Now I'm going to subtract 3 from 18 because I can put 3 boys on one team. So I'm going to subtract 3, and that's going to give me 15. Okay? Now I'm going to subtract another 3, and that gives me 12. Then I'm going to subtract another 3, which gives me 9. I need to keep going because I still have paintball players left. I'm going to subtract another 3, which gives me 6. I'm going to come stand over here because we're getting further away. I have 6. I'm going to subtract another 3. And I still have some. I have 3 left. If I subtract another 3, I get 0. All right, now I have divided all the players out. There's 3 players on each team. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that can play. So if you were going to answer that question, you would say there will be 6 teams that can play, or there will be 6 teams. I'm looking for them. Now, what does the repeated subtraction sentence look like? Great. We're going to start with 18. Okay, so I have 18 minus 3. What's 18 minus 3? 18 subtracted by 3 is 15. Minus another 3 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. Whoops. Oh, see, look, when I talk and write at the same time. Okay, so 9 minus 3 is 6. So let's try that because now I'm lost. 18 minus 3 is 15. 15 minus 3 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 minus another 3 is 3. Minus another 3 equals 0. Okay, so I know that I have enough. If I didn't want to use the number line, I can just do this. Okay, so I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. That means 18 divided by 3 in each group is 6 groups. Then at the bottom, I will say there will be 6 groups. Remember, very important when you're answering your problem-solving questions, answer the question, how many teams will there be? Oh, I guess I better use the same words. How many teams will there be? There will be 6 teams. Let's be even more specific. That's why it's good to go back over the question and read it. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like for a problem-solving question. Now, your worksheet for today will have just some practice using the number line and subtracting repeated numbers. So we're going to start with 20 divided by 5. This is going to tell me that there are 20 in total of whatever it is that you're going to be using. So I'm going to go here to my 20. Now look, I don't have numbers on all of the little pegs. This number line is only counting by 5s, but I know what these numbers will be because I know the numbers between 15 and 20. Now this is going to be really easy because we're going to subtract groups of 5. So we start with 20 and we're going to subtract equal groups of 5. So let's start with 20. If we subtract 5, okay, and you can count backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minus 5, we get 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we subtract another 5, we get 10. And remember, these are called jumps or leaps. Let's go back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minus 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've just subtracted another 5. Now we've made it to 0, so we're done. We don't have to go any further. My repeated subtraction will be 20 minus 5 is 15. Minus 5 is 10. Minus 5 is 5 minus 5 equals 0. Do you see how we've done that? We just keep taking away 5 until we get to 0. And there's my division sentence. Okay, so on your worksheet that you have today, it's going to look like that. It's just going to give you the division sentence. It's going to ask you to draw the leaps and write the repeated subtraction. Now, let's do one more really quickly here. This one is 16 divided by 4. And look, we don't even have the numbers on there. So the last one was easy because it's by 5s. So I need to just use what I know about the number line. 16 is 1 more than 15. So I know that 16 is going to go right here. Now I want to subtract 4 because that's the number I have. So I'm going to do equal groups of 4. Start with 16, subtract 4. So I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where I'm going to end up. Now, there's no number there either. How do I know what number that is? I can either count backwards from 15 or I can look here 10, 11, 12. I know that that's 12. All right, so I'm not at 0 yet. I'm going to keep going. I need to subtract another 4 because remember, equal groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that number is 2 less than 10, so I know that that's 8. I'm not at 0 yet, so I need to subtract another 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've subtracted another 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. And I can see that. It's 1 before 5. So I can use that number line. And now I'm going to subtract another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that gets us to 0. So we're done now. I know 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. What is my repeated subtraction? Start with 16 minus 4 is going to give you 12. Minus 4 is 8. Minus 4 is 4. And minus 4 equals 0. So once you get to that 0, you know that your repeated subtraction is finished. If you have any trouble with this at all, please don't hesitate to give me a quick email and we can arrange a time to talk or Zoom or call if you're having troubles with this. But give it a try. Don't quit right away. Try and see if you can make it work. All right, thanks. See you soon.